Hello, everybody. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I'm trying to adjust my little phone thing here. It's not staying where I want it to. There we go. Hope you had a really amazing weekend. I just dropped my son off at his tri training, and I'm heading back to my girls' gym. And I got to really thinking about some stuff this weekend, and I wanted to chat with you about it, and it's all about your ego and what your ego is telling you, usually a lot of lies. So let's talk about those lies. But in case you don't know me, gosh, does that drive me crazy? There we go. In case you don't know me, my name is Rachel, and I help moms. I help them get out of the overwhelm, make themselves a priority so that they can finally lose the weight and feel really amazing about themselves. And I have realized that my ego mind keeps creeping into my mind, and it is making me believe things that aren't true, which is making me make poor decisions. And I finally, at the middle of last week, was like, I've had enough of this. I got to do something about this. And so I wanted to talk to you about the process that I've been going through to kind of get me there. And so your ego, I know we think a lot about it, or if you took a psychology class in college, you hear about the ego, and, you know, you think about the egotistical male that like thinks he's better than everybody else. And that's not really the kind of ego I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that voice inside your head that tells you that you can't do things and is there to protect you. Now, the ego has a time and place, and the ego isn't necessarily a bad thing. The ego, you know, keeps you safe. The ego keeps you from crossing the street when there are cars coming. Your ego keeps you from going outside, when there's a thunderstorm. Like, your ego keeps you from doing things or making bad choices. But a lot of times our ego, in an attempt to keep us safe, keeps us from doing things that we should be doing, or tells us that we can't do stuff that we should and could be doing. So what's been going on with me lately is my nutrition has just gone completely wacky. I did amazing with it for 3 months. I finished my 80-day program, took kind of a week off, made things easy, and I haven't been able to get on track. And this has been going on since like May. You know, I'll get on track for a few days, and then I get off track, and then back on track again. And I really started to, a couple weeks ago, ask myself, what is going on? Yeah, I know it's summer. I know there's a few more s'mores, but I'm doing things that, like, I'm getting back into those same old habits of eating too much on the weekends and then spending the whole week trying to, like, get rid of all the food I ate. And then the weekend comes again. I'm like, oh gosh, what's another big bowl of ice cream? And I just keep getting back in that same old bad habit that I was in before. And I started to try to think about what it was that I was doing and what thought process I was going through that kept putting me back in that position, because it made me unhappy. It made me miserable. And I realized that it's my ego, that my ego was telling me that I couldn't eat healthy, that I couldn't sustain this healthy way of eating. My ego was telling me that it was better for me to eat junk food, that it made me feel good. I've also been in the last month dealing with a lot of different emotional type stresses with things with my kids and my husband. My 13-year-old daughter had a really nasty fall this last weekend too, and I tell my ego says, oh gosh, you should eat that ice cream because it's going to make you feel better. And it did temporarily, but in the long run, it really didn't. I'm still haunted by the whole ordeal. And so your ego mind is going to tell you a lot of different things because it's trying to make you feel safe, or it's trying to protect you. But what happens is that ultimately those things aren't necessarily the best thing for you. I find this a lot of times even in business too, that I don't do things probably that would be good for my business because I worry that it's going to waste my time, or I'm not going to be good enough at it. And so I just avoid it altogether. And that's, again, my ego telling me I'm not good enough because it wants to protect me from the possible failure or whatever it is. And maybe you've been like thinking about starting an exercise program, but what keeps coming into your head is, well, I've done it before, I failed before. There's your ego mind telling you that you can't do something. Your ego mind might tell you, well, I can't do squats, or, you know, you really shouldn't do that cardio workout because it's too hard for you and you might look like a fool. Or maybe it'll tell you that you don't like veggies and they're not that good for you. It's telling you all these things to keep you from hitting that point of failure. And the thing is that if we say no to our ego mind and do it anyway, then in a couple weeks the ego mind might creep in again, and we have to be able to say no again. So the process that I've been following, and I've also been kind of working with my own mindset coach about this, is a pretty simple process of kind of kicking your ego to the curb. And it sounds really simple, and it really is. And so the first thing that I did, my first step, was I gave my ego a name. Giving your ego a name other than ego or shut up person puts a face on it. It makes it a lot easier to tell that person to go away. So I have named, and I gave my ego this name a long time ago. I named her Magda. And if you remember something about Mary, that woman, that friend of Mary's that like tanned too much, her name was Magda, and that was always kind of, that name stuck with me because I didn't want to be that overly tanned 50-year-old that looked like I was 80. And so that was Magda. So the second step then, after you give your ego a name and you give yourself a face, is to recognize what it is that's being told. So maybe it's you can't eat healthy, or you should eat that comfort food because it'll make you feel better, or maybe it's that workout's too hard for you, you're going to look like a fool, or that you've done this before and it didn't work out for you. Why would it work out for you this time? You look at that statement, and if it makes you feel yucky and icky inside, it's your ego. And so that is, again, all the examples that I gave. So the idea that I should eat this unhealthy food because it's going to make me feel better, it really doesn't resonate with my day-to-day life. It really made me feel icky, not at the moment, but later on. And I know that that makes me feel icky later on. So I know that that's my ego talking and telling me to do it. I had another situation. My daughter was going for some testing for gymnastics, and I just about didn't take her because I didn't think she was ready and that there's a qualification. I didn't think there was a chance in hell she would qualify. But I ended up taking her. I caved. I took her, and she ended up qualifying. And her coach said to me, gosh, if you wouldn't have taken her, she wouldn't have qualified. And he said, if you don't go, you can't qualify. And it really hit home that was my ego that didn't want to take her down. I didn't want to waste the 2.5 hours drive each way. I didn't want her to miss a day of gymnastics camp. I didn't want her to go and fail. So I was ready to make the decision and let my ego decide that we weren't going to do this. And it was a prime example of, if you don't try something, you're never going to get what you want. And so it really hit home for me. And I've really been thinking about that for the last couple of weeks since that whole thing happened, thinking about all the things that I'm not doing in my life with my health, my fitness, my business, my kids, my family, all because I'm afraid of failure. And so if your ego's saying, you shouldn't do that workout program because you're going to fail at it like you did last time, that doesn't feel very good. And that's just your ego talking. So step 1, name your ego. Step 2, think about what it is that's being said. Step 3 is tell your ego to shut up, go away, you're out of here, you're moving out. Constantly telling your ego to get the hell out of here in whatever way you want to say it, no matter how vulgar it is. Kick your ego to the curb. Tell your ego to shut up. Tell your ego to get out of your life. Tell your ego that what they're saying is false, fake, real, that it's just feeding into your fears, that you don't want it. Use whatever words you need to use, but kick your ego to the curb and get rid of those thoughts, because those thoughts are keeping you from being where you want to be. They're keeping you from losing weight. They're keeping you from eating healthy so your stomach stops hurting. They're keeping you from getting into your pre-pregnancy genes. They're keeping you in a roller coaster of weight loss and of healthy eating. And so I've noticed that now, the unhealthy eating makes me feel crappy. So then I feel worse about myself. Well, that's ego making me do that kind of stuff. So now that I'm moving away from ego thoughts and moving into thoughts of love, or thoughts of positivity, or thoughts of the things that I can do, I feel better. And so following that 3-step process is definitely going to help you feel better about what you're doing. It's going to help you make choices that are going to be for your own good, not for your ego, because your ego is not there to protect you in this kind of a situation. It's there to protect you from burning yourself or from crossing the street when the light's red or whatever. Basic protections. It's not there to protect you from losing weight. It's not there to protect you from failure, because the thing is we've got to put ourselves out there and risk failure in order to actually get any of the things that we want in life. Anything worth having doesn't come easy. Very rarely is that the case. I'm sure we all have examples of something that just fell into our lap, and that's awesome, but that's not typically the case. Thomas Edison worked on that light bulb forever. What if he would have given up? Obviously, somebody would have discovered the light bulb by this point, so we would have light, but it wouldn't be Thomas Edison. So keep that in mind. What is your ego telling you? Give your ego a name and kick those thoughts to the curb and do what you know is good for you. If you want to try a new workout program, a new eating plan, you want to try a meditation that you've tried before that didn't really work out the way you wanted to, whatever it is, kick your ego to the curb and give it a try. That is my advice for you today. I hope this was helpful for you. If you want more insight, if you're ready to get started on that workout nutrition program, I am your gal, because I will help you succeed. So shoot me that personal message and let's chat about what your goals are and figure out what we can do to help you kick your ego to the curb. That's one of the things I do with my coaching, is I help you kick your ego to the curb. I get rid of all those Magda thoughts that are coming into your head and that are keeping you stuck. So we can work on that together and help you finally lose that weight, get into those pre-pregnancy genes, have all that confidence that you have been waiting for since you had those babies, and we can do it together. It's a lot more fun with the group. So shoot me that PM and let's chat about it. I just reached my destination. Perfect timing. See you guys later. Bye-bye.